Listen, I've been monitoring human colonies for about 3 standard cycles now, and let me tell you something. These creatures never fail to surprise me. My name is Vex, by the way. Senior Field Observer for the Galactic Wildlife Protection Agency. Yeah, that's right, we protect them now. How's that for irony? So there I was, hovering in my stealth pod above Settlement Bravo 7, watching Dr. Marcus Webb tend to his evening campfire. The guy had been alone on Kepler 442b for 6 months, cataloging plant species like some obsessed botanist. Which, technically, he was. But here's where it gets interesting. 3 juvenile Thornback cubs had been lurking around his camp for weeks. Now, Thornback cubs are not pets, people. These little fuskers grow up to be 2-meter-tall apex predators with claws that can slice through titanium alloy. Their parents? Oh, their parents are currently somewhere out there in the forest, probably plotting the most creative ways to turn Dr. Webb into a midnight snack. But did our brilliant human scientist pack up and leave? Of course not. Because humans, in their infinite wisdom, decided that befriending potentially lethal alien wildlife was a perfectly reasonable Tuesday evening activity. Come on, little guys, Webb called out, tossing chunks of his protein rations toward the tree line. I know you're out there. I nearly choked on my nutrient paste. The man was feeding them. My tentacles twitched with second-hand anxiety. 3 pairs of glowing amber eyes emerged from the darkness, attached to creatures that looked like a cross between earth wolves and walking nightmares. The cubs approached cautiously, sniffing the air. Their midnight blue fur rippled with bioluminescent patterns, and those retractable claws, oh, those claws could gut a hover tank. Yet here they were, creeping toward a human who weighed maybe 70 kilograms soaking wet. That's it, Webb whispered, his voice carrying that inexplicable human quality called gentle encouragement. Nobody's going to hurt you here. Nobody's going to hurt them? I wanted to scream through my communicator. What about you, you magnificent idiot? The smallest cub, barely the size of a full-grown human, reached Webb first. It stretched its neck forward, nostrils flaring as it investigated the offered food. Webb remained perfectly still, which showed remarkable restraint for a species known for their fidgeting. Then something extraordinary happened. The cub didn't just take the food and retreat. No, it settled down. Right there. Next to the campfire. Next to the human. By the 7 moons of Arcturus, I muttered, recording everything for my superiors who would never believe this without visual proof. The other 2 cubs followed suit, forming a loose semicircle around Webb's fire. The human, bless his oblivious heart, seemed absolutely delighted by this development. He began talking to them in that ridiculous sing-song voice humans use with their own offspring. You guys are pretty far from home, aren't you? Webb observed, gently tossing more food. Your parents must be worried sick. Their parents should be worried. I thought frantically. Their parents are 1,200-pound killing machines who consider humans a delicacy, but the cubs seemed utterly content. One of them, the boldest of the group, actually inched closer to Webb. Close enough that the human could have reached out and touched its head. Which, naturally, is exactly what the lunatic decided to do. Easy there, buddy, Webb murmured, extending his hand palm up. Just want to say hello. The cub sniffed his fingers, then did something that made my 3 hearts skip simultaneously. It pressed its massive head into Webb's palm, seeking scratches behind its ear fins. A Thornback cub. A creature designed by evolution to be the perfect predator. Asking for pets from a human, the fire crackled merrily as Webb obliged, his fingers working through the cub's thick fur. The creature's bioluminescent patterns shifted to warmer hues, indicating contentment. Soon, all 3 cubs had maneuvered themselves within petting range. This is impossible, I whispered to my recording device. Thornback cubs never approach other species. They're hardwired for aggression and territorial behavior from birth. Yet there they were, practically purring as Webb showered them with attention. The human seemed equally enchanted, laughing softly as the cubs competed for his affection. You know what? Webb said conversationally, as if addressing old friends rather than alien predators. I've got some heated blankets in my shelter. Want to stay the night? Heated blankets. He was offering them heated blankets. The cubs exchanged glances, communicating through some method my sensors couldn't detect. Then, in perfect unison, they rose and followed Webb toward his modest research station, watched in stunned silence as Dr. Marcus Webb, lone human researcher, essentially adopted 3 baby death machines. He spread the thermal blankets near his shelter's entrance, creating a cozy sleeping area. The cubs investigated thoroughly before settling down with satisfied huffs. There you go, Webb said warmly. Much better than sleeping in the cold forest, right? As I prepared to file the most bizarre incident report in agency history, a thought occurred to me. These cubs had abandoned their natural den, their instinctive behaviors, their very programming, all to curl up next to a campfire tended by a creature they should rightfully fear. What was it about humans that inspired such impossible trust? Little did I know. The real surprise was still coming. Tomorrow would bring the parents. Underscore 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 dawn broke over Kepler 442b with all the subtlety of a plasma cannon. And let me tell you, nothing says good morning like the earth-shaking roar of 2 very angry Thornback parents discovering their babies had gone missing, bolted upright in my observation pod, tentacles scrambling for the emergency beacon. The sound that echoed through the forest wasn't just loud, it was primordial. It was the kind of roar that made every living creature within 50 kilometers suddenly remember they had somewhere else to be. Dr. Webb, however, was calmly brewing coffee. Morning, guys, he said cheerfully to the 3 cubs, who were stretching and yawning like oversized house cats. Sleep well? The cubs responded with content chirping sounds, completely oblivious to the fact that their parents were currently bulldozing through the forest like living earthquakes. Trees were snapping. The ground was vibrating. My instruments were going haywire, and this human was making coffee. Webb. I shouted through my external communicator, abandoning all pretense of covert observation. You need to evacuate. Now. He looked up at my cloaked ship with mild curiosity. Oh, hello there. Are you the Galactic wildlife folks? I've been expecting you. Expecting us? The man had been expecting us? While potentially facing imminent death by giant alien predators? Dr. Webb, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, there are 2 adult Thornbacks heading straight for your position. Each one weighs approximately 1,200 kilograms and possesses enough raw strength to flip hover tanks. You have maybe 3 minutes before they arrive. Oh, you mean Rex and Luna? Webb replied casually, scratching behind one cub's ears. Yeah, they'll be here soon. I figured they would be. Rex and Luna? He had named the parents. The crashing sounds grew closer. Much closer. I could now make out individual trees falling, the thunderous footsteps, the occasional territorial scream that made my exoskeleton rattle. How are you not terrified right now? I demanded. Webb shrugged, pouring himself a steaming cup. Look, I've been studying these creatures for months. Yes, they're apex predators. Yes, they're incredibly dangerous. But they're also remarkably intelligent. And more importantly, he gestured to the cubs, who were now playfully wrestling near his feet. Their parents. The forest line exploded. 2 massive Thornbacks burst into the clearing, their midnight fur bristling with aggressive bioluminescent patterns. They were magnificent and terrifying, standing nearly 3 meters at the shoulder, with claws that gleamed like curved swords. Their amber eyes locked onto Webb immediately, and then they stopped. Just stopped. The cubs bounded toward their parents with delighted squeaks, rubbing against the giant's legs and chattering excitedly. If I didn't know better, I'd say they were telling their parents about their wonderful night with the nice human. Webb set down his coffee cup and approached slowly, hands visible and empty. "Morning, Rex, Luna," he said conversationally. "Hope you don't mind that I borrowed your kids for the night." They seemed cold. The male, Rex, lowered his massive head to inspect Webb. His nostrils flared, taking in the human scent. For a moment that lasted approximately 17 years, nobody moved. Then Rex did something that shattered every xenobiology textbook in the galaxy, sat down, just plopped his enormous rump on the ground like a trained pet and waited expectfully. "You want breakfast too, don't you?" Webb chuckled, pulling out more protein rations. "I swear, you're all just big softies under all that terrifying exterior." Luna approached next, her movements graceful despite her size. She sniffed Webb thoroughly, then gently headbutted him with enough force to knock most creatures unconscious. Webb just laughed and steadied himself against her massive skull. All right, I missed you too," he said, producing scratches that made the enormous predator's eyes close in bliss. "I sat in my pod, mouth agape, watching a lone human feed an entire family of apex predators like they were beloved pets at a morning picnic." "This is impossible," I muttered for what felt like the 100th time. "Actually," Webb called up to my ship, "it's just Tuesday. Want to join us for breakfast? I've got plenty of rations, and Rex here makes surprisingly good conversation." As if on cue, Rex let out a soft rumbling sound that almost resembled laughter. 3 hours later, I found myself sitting cross-legged in an alien forest, sharing a meal with a human and his adoptive family of death machines, trying to explain to my superiors why I was recommending Settlement Bravo 7 for protected status, because sometimes, the most dangerous predators in the galaxy just want someone to tend the fire and remember to put out extra blankets. Humans, I've decided, are absolutely insane, and maybe that's exactly why they work.